I have a sizable amount of Marvel paperbacks. These things came out in the 70s mostly. And I was going through my collection and I thought, hey, you know what? Let me do a quick video and go through these. I don't have everything, but I do have quite a bit. And these are really nice to have around. Look at this. Pretty cool stuff. So let's take a look. Right, Marvel paperbacks are released mainly in the 70s. These were a way to get these into bookstores at the time and also catch people up on previous comic adventures so they can dive into the comics of the time. Here's a little note from Stan Lee. And basically, like he's talking about how, they created the Marvel Universe, etc., and why Spider-Man's popular and all that. So this is Amazing Fantasy, and I think Amazing Spider-Man 1 to 6, I think. Yeah, here's like Amazing Spider-Man 5. And so you see they're recreating the pages of the time, so all the panels are intact where they were at the time they were released originally. And here's the lizard. The color is great. Actually, the color is very vibrant in these old things. This is from 1977. Pretty cool stuff. Here's the cover here. Striking with all black with Spider-Man fighting Electro. Here's, at last, your chance to build a complete pocket books library. So these were meant to be the same size as a paperback of the time. Here's a Destroyer paperback. Basically the same thing, so you can read this on a train or whatever, but it's all comics. Pretty cool stuff. Here's issue 2. I have it in plastic. Here's a crazy price for it. I don't think I paid that, but it's 7 through 13. Everyone's favorite superhero in action against the world's mightiest villains. Full color, so same thing on the back. Here is Stan Lee Presents Spider-Man His Greatest Team-Up Battles. This one is full color as well. This one rearranges the panels to fit better in this format. You saw a lot of this at the time. It's funny that those early ones didn't do that. It's like slowly falling apart. So this is from 81. And basically it reprints different Marvel team-ups, basically. That's how you get all these crazy... Oh, you hear it cracking every time I... But that's how you get all these crazy Spider-Man team-ups. And here's Pietro. Here's Robbie. Here's... Yeah, Pietro's fighting Spider-Man. You see they really stretch this out because it's like 1 or 2 panels per page, right? But you feel like you get a lot of it. Here's Doctor Strange. And as I say, the art is still fairly crisp for something from 1981 in paperback form. Pretty cool. I can't remember who he teams up with here. Hulk. There you go. There's a Hulk team up / versus. I mean, if it's Hulk, it's probably versus. Here he grabs Spider-Man's leg. And as I say, this is meant to be, read like a paperback, like on the go, etc. So yeah, it's Doctor Strange, Hulk, and Pietro. You can see the back of it. Here's the spine. Here's the back. And sorry, the Marvel Illustrated books. Yeah, that was their imprint for this kind of thing. That was published in bookstores, or sorry, released to bookstores. So that was a big draw for these. Here's Hulk, issues 1 through 6. Let's take a look at the back. Pretty cool stuff. Some of these things you could find in comic shows and things. Now this, of course, recreates the pages as they were originally paneled. And this is... Trying to get a year on this. It's probably late 70s. Oh, 78. There you go. So there's Stan Lee talking about Hulk and everything. So here's Hulk. And of course he's... he's green here. He was not originally. So they recolored him here. So he's green and everything. So there you go. They recolored him here. Here's a revisionist history. There's those weird fisheye aliens that he fought in his first adventure. Great crisp art. It's really neat. Like I like things that you could take on the go. So pretty cool stuff. Versus General Flag. This Hulk 6. Epilogue. And then there's other Hulk comics. Here's a cool pin-up thing. There you go. Let's look at Fantastic Four. This is the first of them here. It has some sort of Canadian stamp here. Probably unique here in Canada. Stan Lee presents Fantastic Four. Stan Lee promoting himself again. The Merciless Mole Man. Yeah, so this is the first few issues. Is this a printing mistake or something? 77. It's like, I remember when we ripped off Jack Kirby's, what do they call, the Challengers of the Unknown, and made Fantastic Four. Whoops, no, sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Here's the Mole Man issue, the first issue. So it's cool to have all this in paperback form. It's pretty neat. Not necessarily trade paperback, but these like old school sized paperbacks. Again, crisp art for the time. This is 1977. This was printed. Pretty neat. And yeah, there's speculation that Fantastic Four was a continuation of their regular monster comics where they just had like giant monsters attack and stuff. There's a lot, yeah. Here's Namor's little monster. Fantastic Four 6. Great cover. Epilogue. And there's more comics. Here are the pin-up pages. Cool stuff. Let's look at Doctor Strange. I have a couple of these. So in full color. Here's the back. Here's the spine. Doctor Strange. Yeah, so these, I mean, it tells you the titles, and Stan Lee and Steve Ditko here. And Stan Lee telling you all about Doctor Strange. You mentioned Steve Ditko, that's cool. He's the master of black magic, Doctor Strange. So yeah, recreating the original paneling so it's tinier, right? It's not spread out like that one comic, that Spider-Man comic, where it was taking panels and making like one page of it. Here's a pin-up. And here's a little quote. Here's issue 2. It's in plastic right now. Here's the back cover, the spine. Let's take a look at Conan. So there are many of these. I have 3 of them. There's like, well, probably over 6, at least 6, because I have issue 6. Preface. I didn't want to do Conan, but it was brought to my attention anyway. Here's Roy Thomas talking about Conan. Here's the big map. There you go. And here's the coming of Conan. So I think this is, did they tell you? I think this is the first few issues. This looks like issue 1, where he's fighting with these guys and he's like younger. So this looks like it's repaneled. So they took the original panels and then made them bigger for these pages. So that's cool. Art is very crisp, very Winsor Smith in the beginning. So yeah, Conan teaming up with guys, fighting monsters. Death! Pretty cool stuff. And that's Bori, I think, the god. Don't miss Volume 2 of the complete Marvel Conan. So I think they were attempting to reprint all of these in these paperback formats. And this is issue 2. Fights this big spider and everything. The thief infested Zamora. Conan the Barbarian battles wizards and warriors and women. More dangerous than either. And here's issue 6. Full color. 4 epic tales of Conan's wondrous world. Let me just take a look at the year of this. 1970. Oh no, 1978 is when they were printing these paperbacks. Let's take a look at some Star Trek, the motion picture. So they printed floppies of Star Trek the Motion Picture, which then spun off into its own comic, which could only use stuff from that movie. They also did a big Marvel Super Special, which had the glossary at the back and everything of terms up to that point for Star Trek. And they did this paperback. Pretty neat stuff. Stan Lee presents Star Trek, because, you know, he created Star Trek. Television's most acclaimed science fiction series is now a great new motion picture. And a mighty Marvel Illustrated epic. Dun! The human adventure is just beginning. So yeah, they took the panels and they repaneled it here. Pretty neat stuff. Great splash page here. Based on a screenplay by Harold Livingston and probably other people. Here's the Klingons getting destroyed and everything. Spock and his big test. Pretty cool stuff. Great Star Trek stuff. Now when I look at these, I think of the figures. When I look at those designs. Ilya. All this crazy effects from the movie. Yeah, the whole movie in the palm of your hand. Here it is. The entire epic Star Trek, the motion picture. Here's the ending where it turns into the Borg, I guess. I don't know. Here's the glossary by Tom Rogers. Yeah, all the different terms. Black hole. Oh, okay, well, Delphiline, a potent drug. Oh, okay. Some sort of, I don't know if they use that now. Stardate, Sonax, sensor swarms, transporter, thruster suit. That's cool. From this movie, wormhole distortion, V'ger. Spoiling the movie. So that's that. Yeah, so they did these movie ones. Here's Empire and Return. I don't know if they missed a trick and didn't do a Star Wars version of the paperbacks, but they did Empire and they did Return of the Jedi. Let's take a look at Empire for a second. Here's the back. Here's the spine. Pretty cool stuff. I have fond memories of this. My cousin had this, and the cover was coming off, and one time I read it and the cover came completely off and she beat the shit out of me. She's like 10 years older than me, so I was a kid and she was like a teenager. Wonderful, wonderful art. It's Archie Goodwin's the writer, and Al Williamson and Carlos Garzon are the artists. And they do such wonderful likenesses of everyone. It's so great. So I think this is the one, yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the one that had the original purple Yoda. We'll get to him. Here's the AT-ATs. I'll always call them AT-ATs. Screw that AT-AT crap. Yeah, this thing's gonna fall apart. But hey, well used, right? You know, well loved. So here they are in the asteroids and stuff. Here's Dagobah. We're getting there. There he is. This is the original Yoda. Now, this could have been one of the designs, but this is the one they took for this before the movie came out. And then they had to redraw Yoda for all subsequent releases. So most of what you'll find is the green Yoda, but this is the original purple Yoda. There you go. There he is, purple Yoda. With the big ears and everything. So yeah, it's the rest of Empire. Here he is, Billy D. Oh, I am your father. I don't know. Luke, you can destroy the Emperor. He has foreseen this. We can rule the galaxy together. Father and son, yeah. So he reveals that here. I don't know when this was released in relation to the movie. There you go. Let's take a look at the date. I think it'll still say 1980, but yeah, 1980. So I don't know when this came out in relation to the film Return of the Jedi. The final chapter. Dun. So I think this is still Al Williamson art. They did fantastic jobs on the Star Wars stuff. They even did the some of the well, Al Williamson, I think, did some of the newspaper strips for Star Wars as well. So this, they repaneled everything. Here's the Sarlacc pit. And we're going in space. Here's Yoda. Here's proper Yoda, green, weird looking Yoda. It's Yoda, you know. Here's Billy D and Harrison Ford. Here they are on the forest moon of Endor. Is the moon called Endor, or is it the moon of the planet Endor? You Star Wars nerds will know. Here's a Mon Calamari. Looking very delicious. Just bread them and fry them. Here is the Emperor. Everyone hated that guy. So here he dies. But he comes back in, like, I don't know. Was it Rise of Palpatine or something? Here's the ending. Get your first one. So here they're pushing subscribers and stuff. Let's take a look at some of the black and white paperbacks. I have a couple of these, and you know, it's one of these things I open it up and I'm disappointed because it's basically it's basically black and white here. 2 stories by Stanley and Wally Wood. Stiltman. So it's 7, right? And it's this other one, Trapped by the Fellowship of Fear. Take a quick look at all these. So it's the old costume. It's some of the first issues. There you go. The end. And then you get into Stiltman, I think. Yeah, there he is. There's the Stiltman. There he is doing his stilt thing. This is how my stilts work. Bullshit, but you had to ask, right? There you go, repaneling from the original. And here's a subscriber page. Let's take a look at this. This is Avengers Origin of the Vision. Someone colored this with pencil crayon. It's a pretty neat coloring job, though. You could color these, I guess. I don't know. That's the crappy Black Widow before her great costume. So, yeah, here's all the, it's all black and white. The first Visions, that was, Valkyrie you saw there briefly. Here's the roll call. So there you have it. My Marvel paperback collection. It's not everything, but it's a cool little collection to have and to treasure. These are really great stuff. So, I hope you like what you saw. Until next time, take care.